Democrat Scott Ellington is in the news today. Democrat Scott Ellington is quoted in the Jonesboro Sun saying that he, quote, can't say where he stands on Obamacare and the repeal of Obamacare. Now, this is interesting to me because the statement he released when the Supreme Court ruling came down said that Obamacare is going to give adequate health care to Americans. That's what he said. So to me, I thought that means he is embracing Obamacare, just kind of like Gene Jeffers down there is embracing Obamacare. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. As the height of Christianity. Quote, the height, or no, Christianity at its finest is what he said. Quote, Christianity at its finest is what 4th Congressional Democrat candidate in Arkansas, Gene Jeffers, is saying about Obamacare. So in the Jonesboro Sun today, they write, quote, on the repeal vote, Ellington said late Monday, if he were serving in the House, he would like to study the issue before making a decision. Quote, I'm not sure on the bill's context. Wait a second. Attorney Scott Ellington is running for Congress. He wants to represent us in the 1st District of Arkansas. And he is telling the media, and he's telling you, that he's not sure about the health care bill's context. Now, number one, let's give him the benefit of the doubt, and let's say that he is honestly not sure about the context. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt, and let's say that is a truthful statement. There's no deception there. There's no, election year games being played. Factual sleight of hand. I don't really want you to know how I feel about this. Let's just say that none of that's taking place here with Scott Ellington. And let's just say he really believes that. He is really not sure. Quote, I am not sure on the bill's context. End quote. I would have to ask, since the job of an elected official is to be informed, is to be engaged, is to actually interpret data, interpret results, formulate opinions in order to be able to adequately represent a constituency, I would ask the question honestly, where have you been the past 2 years? What news sites have you been reading the past 2 years? How engaged have you been the past 2 years in what is one of the most highly debated bills in modern history? Obamacare is one of the most controversial, highly debated, and we're supposed to accept the idea that the Democrat Scott Ellington doesn't have an opinion on Obamacare? Ladies and gentlemen, you're telling me on the most controversial issue, he just conveniently doesn't have an opinion on it. I don't buy that. And even if I did buy it, I got to ask him, okay, why are you qualified to represent us again if you haven't done the research to formulate an opinion on this? I mean, look, are there scenarios when you can say, let me read you the full quote. Quote, I am not sure on the context of the bill. He went on to say, I would read the bill and look for an appropriate compromise to make the bill better. I can't say I'm for or against it. I'd like to read it first. So in the same sentence, he says he'd like to make the bill better, but then so that implies that you want to keep it, and then I can't say I'm for or against it. It's confusing. You know why it's confusing? This is an election year. That's why. Quote, I'd like to read it first. Well, you know what? So did everybody else who wanted Congress to read the bill, but it was 2,000 pages. Good luck with that one. I think we know what's in the bill. A lot of people had time to analyze it. Once again, one of the most controversial bills in modern history, in political history, the crown jewel of socialism, and he doesn't have an opinion on it? I don't understand. You know, there are times when this particular excuse, because essentially what he's saying is, well, I'm not in Congress yet. I'm not a congressman yet, so I need to leave it open. I'm trying to be intellectual about this, so I need to leave my options open. I don't know how I'm going to vote. I'm thinking, what is this guy running for judge? Is he running for a judicial office where he can't give us a straight answer? You know, I can maybe buy it a little bit. Like, let's say you're running for president of the United States, and they tell you, okay, what are you gonna do about these wars over here? What are you gonna do about these wars? And a lot of times presidential candidates get passes because, and I can give them a little slack on this one, not a whole lot, but I can give you a little slack when you say, well, I'm not the president yet, and I'm not privy to certain intelligence information, so I don't want to make too many promises about what we can do militarily, what we can or cannot do, because I'm not sure. Because you got to keep things secret, you got to save American lives, you got to keep people safe, and a lot of times information gets people killed. I can give you that. You're running for president. I can't give it to Scott Ellington. Scott Ellington, this is a bill that has been out for 2 years. Everybody's talked about it, and Scott Ellington's saying, "Oh, I'm not. I don't know. I can't say I'm for or against the repeal for Obamacare. Can't say that I am. I'd like to read the bill first." Quote, "I'm not sure on the bill's context," he says. "I'm not sure on the bill's context." We're supposed to send the best and the brightest to represent us in all forms of government, from Jonesboro to Little Rock to Washington, D.C. And ladies and gentlemen, I think it's very telling, in my opinion, for someone to not have an opinion about a bill that everybody has an opinion on. You go ask anybody in Jonesboro, hey, what do you think about Obamacare? Even the most ignorant person in the world that wants President Obama to give him more free stuff is going to have an opinion on it. The most ignorant person in Jonesboro knows what Obamacare is and has an opinion on it. You're telling me Attorney Scott Ellington doesn't have an opinion, doesn't have an actual, real opinion about what he would do? He says, no, I got to get in there first and see this thing. This is, like I said, the most highly debated bill. You want somebody with an opinion on it? I mean, I search out on this show. What's your opinion on Obamacare? Everybody we have on, we want to talk about Obamacare. I mean, how many countless shows have we been through where we've talked about Obamacare? How many countless water cooler conversations have you had with the people at your work that you either agree with or disagree with on Obamacare? And we're supposed to believe that the guy who wants to represent us in Washington, D.C. doesn't have an opinion on it. Aw, shucks, I'm just not really sure in the bill's context. I'm not really sure about the fact that it's forcing people to purchase a product. Not really sure about, how I feel about that. Don't really know. We'll try to make the bill better. It's all about giving away free stuff. It's all about the ever-expanding government. And we have people who want to represent us who believe that the only thing the federal government is there for, among the many things the federal government is there for, they're there to give us our money back. And we're supposed to go and we're just supposed to compete for that money, and whatever they give us, the top-down approach is okay. That's the way America's supposed to be run, and we just need to accept it. And it's complete hogwash, ladies and gentlemen. That's not conducive to limited government. It's not the system our founding fathers had in mind. Obamacare is an abomination compared to, especially with Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts' decision giving Congress the unlimited power to tax us in order to get us to behave the way they want us to behave. Even if you disagree with everything I say, even if you hate me, you love listening to my show because you just like pain, you enjoy the pain. Even if you disagree with everything that I say, you've got an opinion on Obamacare, don't you? And if you're one of these liberals that you might be speculating, if you're a liberal, well, Paul, he's not. He knows Obamacare is unpopular, and he's a Democrat. He supports it, but he doesn't want to go on record. And he knows that Obamacare is going to be tough to run against, and he's not going to have a chance to get, elected if he comes out and tells you what he really thinks. And I'm going to tell you, Mr. Liberal, I thought liberals talk about principles and how is that a principle? That you have to assume that your guy is being a little dishonest in order to get elected? You want to vote for that guy? Oh, that's just the way the system works. Well, I think it's the wrong way. I think that's the wrong way. Now, I'm. This is a lot of speculation that I'm doing here. There's no question about that. But I will still submit to you, I'm not sure about the bill's context. Even if, what has he been doing? What news sources has he been reading? I mean, I don't even care. I'm not even talking about, are you listening to MSNBC? If he's listening to MSNBC, he's got a good opinion about it. It's the government's responsibility to give people health care. You've been hearing how it's going to be constitutional. You were expecting this decision. If you're listening to talk radio, you've probably got an opinion about it. If you're listening to everything, you've got a nice, in the middle opinion about it. But to say that I'm not sure of the bill's context, and I'm not going to say whether I would repeal it or not, when you've got Congressman Rick Crawford, who is saying we need to fully repeal this bill. You got a majority of Americans who want this thing fully repealed now. You got a majority of Arkansans that want this thing gone. And even though I hate Chief Justice Roberts' decision, he's essentially saying we, the Supreme Court, are not going to be held responsible for the stupid decisions of your elected leaders. Now, that's not a very constitutional position to take, but neither was his decision to find that Obamacare is a tax. Can you believe this, Dan? The Jonesboro Sun reporting this? I can't say I'm for it or against it. Quote, I can't say I'm for or against. If you're a Democrat, in this town, that is unacceptable. If I was a Democrat and I was a Scott Ellington supporter, that's unacceptable, man. You can't say whether you're for or against the repeal of Obamacare. No, yeah, you know what? For your political livelihood, you can't say that you're for or against. Because I have a feeling if you're honest, you don't have a shot, man. I'm sorry I'm coming down hard, but this is ridiculous. We need honesty. We need integrity. We need character. We need people to be honest with us. We need people to level with us. Tell us what you believe. Tell us what you believe. For God's sake, if you really believe in America, you really believe in the Republic, you should believe in the consent of the governed. You should believe in people having the ability to have all of the information when they're there and they're in the voting booth, they're making their decision. You want people to have all the facts, all the information. You don't want to get elected on some sort of factual sleight of hand where I don't know if I can say this. I don't know. I'm not sure of the context of the bill. If he really believes that, folks, if he really believes that, there's just a slew of more questions that need to be asked if he really believes he's not sure of the context of the bill. You've got some serious credibility issues at that point as to why you should hold elective office when you don't have an opinion after 2 years of the most controversial piece of legislation that's ever faced our country. One of the most divisive pieces of legislation to ever face our country. Everyone has an opinion on it, and just so happens a politician, I don't really have an opinion on it. I'm not really sure what I should say. That's the real answer. I'm not really sure what I should say. Just tell us what you believe. Tell us what you believe.